Something doesn't quite feel right about Sacramento State football. A season that started off with such optimism, hopes of a Pac-12 or Mountain West invite, and a new stadium ended with little progress on either of those fronts. Now, head coach Andy Thompson has resigned to go work for former Sac State head coach Troy Taylor at Stanford. What is happening here? Rightly or wrongly, this was a critical year for the plucky Hornets. All eyes were on the football team as the school announced plans to move up to FBS in a brand new on-campus stadium. Unfortunately, Sac State laid an egg so big, I'm surprised it's not on the menu at Toasted Rooster Cafe. Best breakfast in Sacramento, change my mind. A 3-9 season on the field saw casual interest in Sac State football crater. The head coach bolting in the midst of what should be an exciting time gives onlookers the impression not all is quite right in Hornet Town. But perhaps most interesting of all was Wilton Rancheria hedging their bets by buying a controlling stake in Sac Republic FC and announcing plans to build a privately financed stadium over at the Railyards. There is a lot to unpack here, so let's get started with a season that ended in disappointment. The Hornets desperately needed a winning season, and things looked pretty good early on. Expected losses against San Jose State and Fresno State were followed by wins against Nichols and Texas A&M Commerce. The Hornets were ranked in the FCS top 10. The buzz, pun very much intended, around the program was at a fever pitch with the Sac-12 announcement. Then the wheels just fell off. Sac State only won a single game for the remainder of the campaign. Look, there were lots of close calls. The Hornets lost 3 games by 3 points and another by a single score. But at the same time, some of those games were against the likes of Cal Poly and Idaho State, 2 teams that haven't been good in recent times. There was also a hugely embarrassing blowout at home to Portland State, in which they allowed the Vikings to score 41 second-half points despite leading at halftime. Yes, there were certainly some extenuating circumstances, but given what was at stake for the football program and the school as a whole, you have to find a way to overcome those. There was an odd comment from Associate Athletic Director Andy Fisk toward the end of the season that has gotten lost in the shuffle but should be highlighted. Here's what he said. We need to, 1, remain competitive and win at this level, and then hopefully go to the next level. So this is always trying to build something special. First priority is getting the stadium built. We'll see what happens from there. I'm sorry, but what now? When Sacramento State first presented its ambitions, the stadium and moving up were made to seem very much like a package deal. Fisk not only decoupled that, but then tied moving up to on-field success. It was curious to say the least, especially when you look at the history of Sacramento State football, which boasts 24 winning seasons in 70 years. Looking beyond that, though, you can see some parallels between Sac State's last run of success and today. These are worth noting. The Hornets won 7 or more games between 1966 and 1969. Nice. They also beat Nevada 4 straight times during that span, which is wild to think about today. Anyway, Sac State would then go 13 years without a winning season after that run. There have been some good seasons at Hornet Stadium throughout the years, but sustained success was fleeting until Troy Taylor showed up and then passed the baton to Andy Thompson. If you are pinning an FBS move to on-field success, well, history shows Sac State is going to be waiting a really long time. Equally as important, are all those donors and Sac-12 pledges really interested in funding an FCS stadium that could potentially, eventually, possibly host an FBS program one day? I'd be skeptical of that. This brings us to head coach Andy Thompson stepping down to go work at Stanford. There are lots of reasons why college football head coaches leave head coaching roles for assistant gigs, and he will probably make more money and do more coaching on the farm than with the Hornets. But the entire point of keeping Thompson around was continuity. It was building on what Troy Taylor did. Now the program is starting from square one. It's not ominous, but the situation is also far from ideal. Sac State can be an attractive job. It is certainly a more attractive job now than Idaho was when they finally showed Paul Petrino the door. At least Taylor and Thompson weren't spending multiple seasons trying to shoehorn their 5'8" son into a starting quarterback role. Thankfully, the Vandals found Jason Eck, who has been a great fit. He's turned the football team's fortunes around up in Vandalville. The problem is that Jason X don't grow on trees. He is a coach who can win games, connect with fans and alums, and most importantly, wants to build something. X has had opportunities to leave the Palouse and could have used the job with Idaho as a stepping stone, but he's stuck around to do something more. Can Sac State unearth a coach with similar qualities, with similar characteristics, which they desperately need right now? They'll get a bunch of candidates who will tell Mark Orr and Luke Wood what they want to hear, but are they going to be able to discern who is being truthful and who is not? Time will tell on that front. The real issue with the Sac State head coaching position is that no one seems to know what it is. Are we talking about an FCS program? Are we talking about an FCS program that's moving to FBS? Is it one that'll have a new stadium before the end of the decade? What is the end goal for Sacramento State football? I don't think anyone seems to have a firm answer. There are lots of dreams and ambitions and goals, but what actually is going to take place is anyone's guess. That takes us to Wilton Rancheria. When they announced a new partnership with Sacramento State football that will see them sponsor a whole bunch of stuff, the Sacramento Bee straight up asked Wilton Rancheria chairman Jesus Tarango about the new stadium, and his response was a very long-winded version of, "We'll see." It was sort of damning. Make no mistake, Wilton Rancheria is critical to Sacramento State's plans for moving to FBS and a new stadium. They are a big supporter of the school. Tarango is an alum. I get that no one wants to divulge any details. They don't want to jinx anything or present plans that aren't firm yet, but you would have hoped for something a little more optimistic given just what Wilton Rancheria means to Sacramento State's football program's plans moving forward. Meanwhile, Sac State president Dr. Luke Wood was trying to spin this partnership with Wilton Rancheria as another step in the journey for the football team's ambitions moving forward, saying, if you think about it, most FBS teams have partnerships like this. So if you're thinking about being at a different level, you have to act like it. Okay. I know you're trying to spin this positively. I understand that. You want to inspire confidence in your plans. However, Dr. Wood, it is time for a reality check. These partnerships aren't an exclusive FBS thing. They are something most FCS schools have. They are something most college football teams, regardless of classification, have. Hell, they also had a similar deal with Pepsi for the Causeway Classic and several other initiatives with their football team. This isn't about a step to FBS. It's far from it. It's simply you doing your jobs. Look, I really want this to work. I want Sac State to get its plans off the ground for a move up, for a new stadium. But when you come out and say patently false things like this, it makes it appear as if those new stadium plans and dreams of FBS are slipping away, much like how many of the Hornets' second half leads slipped away during the 2024 season. Inertia is everything in Sacramento sports. When things are heading in one direction, when it feels like they are in motion, the city is an unstoppable force. But when you have no momentum, when nothing is moving, you are dead on arrival. Sac State's ambitions for FBS and a new football stadium have not flatlined just yet, but the pulse is getting faint. Let's hope the athletic department and the administration have a defibrillator handy, because that may be the only thing capable of keeping these dreams alive. Well, that or simply a sign of progress, a sign that something is actually moving forward on this front, that all the hype wasn't simply bluster, not pledges or platitudes on podcasts, something real, something tangible, something people in Sacramento can see and go, hey, the team went 3-9 and the head coach suspiciously left after 2 seasons, but this program and this football team is heading in the right direction, and that direction is up and hopefully towards a brand new stadium. Stingers are up, but for how much longer remains to be seen, because not only does Sacramento State have to continue on with its new stadium plans, hope for a conference invite from somewhere, and that doesn't look like it's coming from the Pac-12 or Mountain West anytime soon. Is it Conference USA? Perhaps, I don't know. But now the school also has to find a new head coach willing to come in and deal with what looks to be a lot of uncertainty and a lot of plans that aren't really firm, at least not now. At the very least, this all shapes up for a very interesting offseason for Sacramento State football. Thank you for watching this video. If you would like to learn about the decline of college football in California as a whole, check out the video in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. And for the story of how the fondly remembered Sacramento Kings of the early 2000s were formed, well, the video in the lower right-hand corner of your screen is the place to go. Until next time, I am Cheyenne Hollis. This is the Touchback. Hashtag Stingers up and hashtag take it out to the 25.